Hello, race fans. Dresden here, and welcome back to Wednesday night with CCRL. It is time for race 9 here in Singapore. We're going to have a sprint this evening. Promises to be very complex, action-packed evening. We're looking forward to getting this race started. We'll see you on the other side.
We love this sport for the competition because we need it, all of us. The pit in your stomach as the lights go out.
I think I'm going to have to get
The
used to
hair
that a
on your
little
neck
bit.
rises as the engine roars to life. We're transported to a place.
I love it. I
overcome by the
absolutely.
moment,
All these little
guided by the
changes,
past.
right? They add up to something that's cool.
Stay focused. Give it everything. It's going to be so close.
This is very tight. We're going wheel to wheel.
I'm going for it.
Through goes Hamilton.
It's not over yet.
Max Verstappen.
I'll find you a link to it.
This
I didn't
Formula One.
commentate the first
This
race.
is CCRL.
Oh, okay. Welcome back, race fans. Dresden here. I'm excited for this evening. Singapore promises, I don't know, the difficult action. I'm ready to see what happens this evening. With me in the commentary box, as always, Trackside. How you doing tonight, bud?
Hey, what's up, Dresden? Welcome, everyone. This is going to be an awesome night. I'm excited. I had to run the track earlier tonight because I haven't run it since the new layout. So I'm excited to see if it proves for good racing.
Yeah, that the new layout. I don't know how I feel about it. I think I like it. Where do you stand on it?
I mean, it's less technical. Singapore, in my view, is one of the more technical tracks on the calendar, and that takes away just a little bit of the technique coming through Sector 3, and it I like it. It makes the track flow a little bit more, but we'll see if it provides any better racing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna miss that turn under that bridge, right?
Yep.
Because man, that's where I think if you like did a bell curve of all the mistakes that you can make in Singapore, I think like right in the center with where the most mistakes get made is on the entry to that old turn under the bridge. What do you think?
Yeah, and it's such a quick left to right, and there's no downforce on the car, so yeah, you're just asking for a mistake because there's going to be so much wheel spin through there. Yeah, it takes away a little bit of that vulnerability, but there's plenty of other places, and you're carrying so much speed now through turn 16 and 17 that 17 almost turns into like a wall of champions in Canada. So you got to watch your exit in 17 now, carrying a little bit more speed through there. So
but it does take away, like, you're right. So maybe it doesn't completely remove all of the difficulty that used to be there, but man, that entry, it reminds me very much of what am I thinking of? It's not Abu Dhabi.
Saudi?
It's what's that?
I'm trying to think of like low speed corners on the calendar.
No, for some reason the name of the track, Azerbaijan, is that it?
Baku?
Where you go back yeah, Baku. Thank you.
Yep.
Where that entry into the castle section.
Ah, yes. Okay.
Right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That turn and the turn that we're talking about that's been taken out, those very much the same impact on the car, where you're threading a needle at kind of a low speed, and you really just have to launch it right, or you're going to clip a wing, take a wheel off, back up traffic.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree. And we've already got a ton of action in the chat tonight. Johnny Damon in there. He is still on vacation tonight, I think. But he says the more technical the track is, the more I enjoy racing it. I can't say I subscribe to the same philosophy, but he's a quick guy, so I would believe that.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Pontiac Bandit also in here says this is going to be fun, and I agree with that too.
yeah. I think it's gonna be interesting to see who's really nailed down the new section, right? Because it's definitely a new wrinkle. But we also in Monza we were very tightly packed basically the entire race. But I don't expect that here in Singapore, and then we're gonna get some more spreading out, right? So we'll get to kind of dial in on maybe some one-on-one fights. I think I'm looking forward to that.
Yep, yeah, it's a street track, so in nature, you're not gonna be able to follow as quickly as you would at a typical track. So, yeah, you're right. We're gonna see a lot more spread tonight. It's a sprint format, so one shot quality to start us off. So we'll see if maybe some guys, track limits is kind of a thing here in Sector 1 and Sector 3. So we'll see if that catches anyone out. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, the walls are definitely going to catch some people out. I'm hoping for two things. I'm hoping for less safety cars than we had in Monza, but I'm also hoping for a thriller finish like we had in Monza as
Oh
well.
boy.
I could definitely, I think I and Reimer could definitely do that again. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I watched back the race a little bit, and we've got 30 seconds here before we get into qualifying, so we got a little bit of time. But I watched the race back, and we talked about Walrus and Guzman kind of going at it on the last lap, and it looked like everything was pretty fair going into it, but they both kind of were dancing on the edge of traction there, and I think both caught themselves out a little bit, and Reimer was right there to pick the pieces up. So
Just just steady, consistent. And as we head into one shot qualifying here, steady and consistent. In fact, I poured through the driver statistics a little bit. Reimer right up there at the top with consistency, but just a little bit back in terms of race pace. But sometimes it's consistency that wins the day. So we're the format for tonight is one shot qualifying. Everybody's going to qualify at the same time, and we're going to be watching to see who's fastest in about 20 seconds here, and then it's a sprint, and then we're going to get a 50% right after that. So lots of action this evening. I cannot. Last week it was just so. It was such a good race. I'm really hoping for that same feeling after we're done here this evening. Always
absolutely.
forget.
So I thought it was one shot quali. I could be wrong. Maybe it is short quali.
Oh, good.
I think this is good.
Yeah, good. Let's because man, I mean, for technical tracks, I don't like one shot qualifying,
It's so
right?
hard. Yeah.
You- because qualifying is you don't really get the expectations built up with one shot qualifying. I like to see, especially in a place like this, I want to see where everybody's at relative to each other. You need at least a short qualifying for that. So good. We're gonna see. Although I see some people heading out on green wall tires. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah. Pontiac Bandit out on intermediates. He's the only one. Everyone else who's left the pits is on the softs. So
All right. Well, this gives us time. This gives us time to talk a little bit more about Monza, man. Like
yes.
I actually reached out to Guzman after last week, and I was like, "Can you just tell me what it felt like?" He responded back and he said, "I don't want to talk about it."
Imagine that.
Yeah, but he also said he said it was going from one of I'm paraphrasing here. I want to make sure I get it right, but he said it was going to be one of my best races of this season. It went from one of my best to one of my worst in the space of one turn.
One turn.
And yeah, I mean, and he sent me a couple of videos so I could watch right from his angle. The fight between Walrus and Guzman, that last lap was just. I wish I had stayed right on his camera to catch it live, but there was so much good fencing, all that really set up Guzman being in front there, and then just all for naught as that back end slipped away from him right there at the end.
Yeah, and it's through Parabolica too, so it wasn't like a low speed turn where it's just like, oh, there goes the rear end. I mean, it was like seconds or what felt like minutes of watching that rear end come around.
Yeah,
It's like almost it happened in slow motion.
yeah, it really did. It really and it was towards the end of Parabolica too, like not right when you're getting in. He was really just trying to gun a little bit more, and then it was like, no, that's it. You've reached your limit.
Yeah. The car and tires had enough at that point.
Yeah. And we saw, so at the end of qualifying, I don't know if you remember, but we saw the exact same spin from Guzman.
Yep.
So
yeah,
what
same spot, same spin.
Yes. And so that tells you something. It tells you that he really was at the edge of what he could push that car to. At the end of qualifying, when you're just trying to, get a few more extra seconds, you've already got your best time on the board. You're just trying to squeeze a little bit more position out. You can push too hard for that. And then in that moment, when you're just trying to eke out the victory by a couple of tenths, and you've been behind the whole race, the exact same thing, just pushing it a little too far, right there at that, dancing on that edge. It's just, it's good racing.
Yeah, you're right. I couldn't have said any better. Like he was just right on the edge, and you got to think like a % of throttle less, and he would have been across the line in first place. You know, that's the margin we're talking about.
One click more of rear wing.
Yeah.
Right. Just the tiniest little change. Right. Or if he hadn't have braked too hard and rubbed some extra tire off at some point. Right. Just the tiniest little, the tiniest whatever is what made all the difference. And that's when people are racing right on that edge. Fun to see. We have some times coming in here in Singapore. Walrus again fast by a second and a half. That's upsetting.
Yeah, I'll be surprised. Actually, I'm not surprised because when I got on today to do a little track reconnaissance, I noticed Angry Walrus's time on the leaderboard, and a second. I think he was a second ahead of Reimer in time trial. So I would not be surprised if the Angry Walrus show continues tonight.
It's devastating this season. It really is. Like that, the rapidity at which he's gaining all this extra time. Crazy. 129 flat. That's a second and a half faster than the rest of the field. Z-Milk has a respectable time on the board with a 34. DRL has a 31 flat. And then we're close after that. Curveball, Owa, Bong It. Well, Curveball and Owa, they're in there at the 31s, low 31s. And then we're stepping back for Barney, Urban, Komakopa, and Shashir, who looks to just be getting a time on the board. Let's go. Let me get on board. We'll ride with Pontiac Bandit, who's on an out lap and had a pretty decent finish. In Monza, Pontiac Bandit did. Fifth place.
I'm trying to remember where he did finish. I'm going to pull it up here and just remind myself because I've slept a couple times since then. Pontiac Bandit get the top 5 finish in Monza. Yep.
Yeah, and Owa too actually qualified really well, and then and finished fourth place.
Yeah.
So I think having a really good race in Monza for Owa.
Rujoff mixing it up in the top 3 as well. That might have been his first podium this year or this season. I can't remember if he's been on the podium yet or not.
It tells you, I mean, it tells you the strength of the field at this point. I mean, Rujoff really very strong showing in the pro field, and then fighting it out in the midfield here. A lot of strong racers. Z-Milk and Guzman, I think, are probably disappointed with their finishes in Monza.
Yeah, a little bit. Z-Milk 6th and Guzman 11th, just out of the points after having battled for the lead there in the last corner. Yeah, a little disappointing.
Well, a lot disappointing. I mean, and he was in that position from good strategy. I mean, duking it out the whole time. He had to pass people to get there, and just down to the wire. Okay, and we've talked enough about last week. Last week's finish was so good.
So Pontiac doing a pretty good first sector. He's a 27.3, which puts him towards the front of the midfield. We'll see where he's at sector 2.
He's quick around turn 13 as we're on board with the Red Bull. Yeah, just workhorse driving here. Very solid.
Yep. 38.3 in the middle sector is really, close to what the leaders are doing. So he's stringing together a pretty good lap here.
Yeah, that third section feels very different. I actually haven't driven it yet. Across the line with a 31.2 in there, right? And there's a group from DRL down to Pontiac now of 5. They're all in that extremely low 31 range.
Yeah, all within 0.2 of each other there from 4th to 8th. So they're mixing it up just outside the top 3.
Yeah, then above that you have the Feeney Z-Milk Reimer tier, and we expect Guzman to slot in there towards the front of that, right? So that,
yeah,
and for a hyper technical track like for like Singapore, like each turn really shows off what you can and can't do with the car. And so what I've noticed is that you get these sort of tiers in Singapore on qualifying, right? Whereas in some place like Austria, it's just a continuous line separated by, by 300ths here or 400ths there. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Here it's very solid tiers because Feeney, Z-Milk, Reimer, and you assume Guzman, they will have all worked out something that everybody in the low 31s haven't been able to quite master yet.
Yeah, and whether that's where they're braking, when in the turn they're actually turning in, how much throttle they're applying on exit, all that stuff really starts to separate you as you start climbing up.
So Owa and now leads that midfield pack in there with a 39. So Owa again seems faster lately.
Yeah, he's turning the pace up a little bit here halfway through season 3. That's for sure.
Can Guzman recover after that disappointing finish last week? Only man without, and there's only 16 on the field this evening, right?
Yeah, we're a little short. I think we had a couple reserves filling in from the pro tier. And we see Comacopa down there in 14th and DRL they're in 6th currently. But yeah, missing a few folks tonight.
Yeah, if you're gonna if you're gonna pick a race where you need a night off, like you're not. I think you're gonna skip Monza or not Monza. You're gonna skip Monaco and Singapore.
Speaking of Monaco, that's next week's race here in the elite tier. So
I don't want to miss that. For me, Monaco, like I don't know. You end up it's you struggle to get passes done, but when they happen, oh man, they can be very exciting.
yeah, Walrus just crossing the line there now. He's 1.1 ahead of Z Milk there in second place.
Z-Milk has done another one and has found some time into the 29s, but that's a significant gap between Walrus and the rest of the field at this point.
Yep, so I've jumped on board. We've got Reimer on a hot lap currently and Guzman on his out lap. So we'll keep an eye on sector times for both and see if anybody can take it to Walrus up at the front.
They're gonna need to find some time quick. I wish we could get a turn by turn. So you brought all these extra statistics, and now I'm already asking for more, right? I'm just never satisfied.
That's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah. I've seen the printouts, like when you're watching Real F1, and they've got the little line charts, right, where they show Hamilton through a particular curve, when he brakes, when he starts to accelerate, how much speed he carries in, right?
Yeah, the throttle traces.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of wish we had that.
That
right
would
now
be
for
something so easy they could add in as little graphics for spectators. You know what I mean?
They don't love us.
So, hey, and honestly, while we've got a second here to talk about it, F124 should be developed on a new engine. So we may see some really cool things happen in next year's game. So I've got my fingers crossed some of those goodies might make it in.
Man, because you would think like the after the communities built around gaming, like on Twitch and whatnot, the kinds of ooh man, Reimer a little sideways there. Guzman puts a good time on the board, jumps into second with a 29.8, so just a little bit faster than Z-Milk.
Yeah,
But
those
once
three
again,
guys, Guzman, Z-Milk, Reimer, hardly anything like a tenth between the three of them, but still a second from Guzman to Walrus.
Yeah, Feeney's almost in that grouping right there as well. He's just a little off the pace. But tonight speed is one thing, but not running into the walls for the entire race is something completely, different. So.
Yep. Yeah, we've seen Walrus definitely improve big time on his consistency, but there is zero room for error here in Singapore. So anybody who's even slightly off tonight is going to pay for it big time.
Yeah, you have to be really nailed. You have to be just completely dialed in the entire race. There's not any moment in Singapore where maybe the run down to 7. It's like the only time that you can take a break, you know?
Yeah. Well, and now the run to 16. Because those two straightaways are almost mirrored against each other.
Well, that's true. That is true. It's a very symmetrical track.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you, when I first when I bought this game and I started racing F1, I turned all the because every racing game I've ever played, I always turn all the assists off. And then I was like, man, Singapore looks like a cool track.
Oh gosh.
And like my racing experience is all Gran Turismo, right? And
Yeah.
so F1 was just a new experience for me, and so yeah, I learned the hard way.
That is trial by fire for sure.
It's like this game's so hard. I was Googling whether or not my controller was messed up or something.
So Feeney now's just put in another lap. He is up to third, only a tenth off of Guzman.
Nice.
That's a good time for
lap.
Feeney.
Yeah.
That's a good time for anybody, but yeah, congrats to Feeney.
Yeah, this battle for second place. Very tight. So time's running out. I guess we've been chit-chatting rather than really following here. Feeney's still alive, but I think he's done. Can Barney improve? He is into the pits. Shiesty is still hot. Is he improving?
Not a whole lot of improvement across the board right now.
Well, then let's examine the numbers. Again, Walrus just is in a league of his own this evening. If he stays out of the wall, you've got to think it's another big points game for him. But the battle for second could not be closer. Z-Milk does edge it out with a 29.6. Guzman with a 29.8. Feeney at 29.9 has got Reimer right alongside him with also a 29.9. Then we've got a midfield that includes Barney, Shiesty, Bonget, Urban, DRL, Merck, Owa, Pontiac Van. Just include everybody else all the way down.
And Owa improving there at the line, up to sixth.
Oh, that's actually a fairly decent jump. So yeah, Owa heads up the midfield to 33 with a 33. And Barney, Shiesty very close to each other. The Alfa Romeos 35, 36 respectively. Longest got a 37, Urban a 38. So midfield battles look very, very tight. And the battle for second place is going to be just going to be a four-way showdown from Z-Mill, Guzman, Feeney, Reiner. But man, you just don't expect any issues here with over a second per lap in pace.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect any issues during a dry race. Yeah. However, the sprint will be dry, but we are expecting rain for the Grand Prix.
Well, that would be a big deal. If I'm in Walrus's ear, it's all about the start. Get the start done. Don't fall behind so that you have to worry about getting a pass done here in Singapore against anybody with real talent. But if you get, hold on, we've got a 5-position grid penalty for Walrus for some reason.
What happened there?
Yeah, looks like a 5 grid spot position for Walrus. We're unsure why, but that will throw a wrench in his plans because that puts the 4 strongest racers in front of him in a place where passing can be very, very difficult.
Yeah, so 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking because someone started their hot lap after he did. Very strange. Very strange.
Well, I mean, I'm not rooting against Walrus. That time's amazing, but do I want to see him fight his way through? Yes, I do.
And we may see that here.
Yeah. Yes, I want to see him fight for it. Instead of just secretly hoping whoever's who lines up alongside him in the front row beats him to to the first turn. That's unfortunate. Can he do it? What do you think? I mean, second in pace is a lot, but it's really hard to get passes done. You think he can win the sprint?
It's so hard around here to get a pass done. I don't know.
Oh man,
That's gonna be
definitely
tough.
makes it a lot more exciting.
I mean, in the sprint, I would say probably not because I mean he may get. He's going to take a 5 place, so he'll be behind Reimer.
Yeah,
Reimer's not going to be an easy guy to get in front of.
Yeah, well, he's got Reimer, Zemilk, Guzman, and Feeney, all of them.
Yeah, but and here's the thing, right? Like you've got what do you call that? Diminishing returns. So the longer he gets stuck behind Reimer, it's going to make it that much harder to catch, Zemilk, Guzman, Feeney, because those guys are going to have clean air to get, seconds ahead while those two are battling. So.
And if Reimer we're speculating here, but if Reimer puts up some real defense, it's going to slow them both down.
Oh, yeah.
And then once he finally does find a way by, which you expect, I mean, a second in pace over the course of entire sprint, he'll get at least 1, 2, 3 maybe. But yeah, that just every time there's a big defense coming up, everybody who's got clean air, it's a great point, are just going to slip a couple seconds ahead. So that penalty really big deal for Walrus. You have to think.
Yeah, ouch. I feel his pain. Pro tier Monday night, I qualified 5th. And there was a glitch on my in lap, and I got hit with a 5 place grid penalty for blocking the pit lane. And so I had to start 10th. So I feel the pain, man. It stinks.
Will make for some exciting racing. Oh, we're 1, 2, 3. Here we go. We are live in the sprint race. Walrus is not. He is in first place, so all of that speculation is out the door again. Oh, man. Feeney into the side of Guzman around turn 1 and spun around. Guzman will be lucky to not have any body damage there.
And Zemilk doing a very good job to stick on the back of that Aston Martin.
Holding on for now. Zemilk still within half a second. Reimer, Owa, Barney all benefiting from that big spin there up 1. Urban has had a good start here in Singapore. He's up 3 off the line.
And everybody in the field on the medium tire minus Shashir, who is on the soft.
Shashir taking a bit of a risk there in the back, but why not? Might be able to make it go all the way. He's got 10 laps that he has to do. I'm feeling those softs will probably be hurting there towards the end. Let's ride on board. I'm on board with Owa, who's got Barney very, very close, tucked in behind him, and Reimer ahead.
Yep, Barney within just a few tenths there, and we're getting a shot of them running down into that new 16-17 straightaway.
It's just a little chicane. I'd forgotten that Singapore had to change when I looked up the race map. I was like,
something doesn't look right here.
Something's missing.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to make sure I had turning under the bridge memorized, right, the numbers for that, because there's always incidents there. And I was like, wait, it's not there anymore. All right. Owa does appear to be slipping back. Reimer is losing touch with Guzman and Zemilk, and Walrus has already put the hammer down.
Yeah, already 1.6 ahead of Zemilk and climbing. Oh! There goes Bong. It's turned around.
Oh, it's Barney also having issues here in the Alfa Romeo. around turn 8. Had to do like an 8-point turn to get that car situated again. Let's go. Let's head action 7. It's Bong It versus Urban. Ferrari versus Mercedes.
Oh, we got a VSC.
Virtual. Yeah.
Looks like between Guzman and Feeney? No, surely not.
Guzman and Feeney.
No, that can't be. That would have been earlier in the race. That.
Feeney's still recovering from that turn 1 incident. It just looking like he might have drifted a little too far, not holding that inside line against the McLaren, and just got himself spun around there. And Guzman's car not handling like it's got any body damage. I'm checking the outside of it. Looks like it's okay. I'm surprised that he wasn't more punished after that collision. It was a significant clash. We are still under the virtual safety car, lap 3 of 10, waiting for the race to commence again. Feeney has had problems, so has Barney. Both with big spins have cost them a lot of position. And not just for this race, it carries on to the next race. And we're green flag again, and man, Guzman and Z-Milk, there's still a big separation there, or a lot bigger than it was before we went in.
Yeah, it looks like he lost 4 or 5 tenths on the restart.
Yeah, I think so. I'm now back action 10. I'm watching Merck, Shiesty, DRL fight it out here as we head out of 13.
Yeah, all 3 of those guys pretty nose to tail here. Oh, Mark getting awfully close to the back of that Alpha.
I'm like looking forward from his camera, and I'm like, very tight. Where is the pass going to come? I mean, we're still waiting for. We should have. Yeah, there it is.
DRS here after the exit of turn 5. Imagine is where Merck will try and get a pass done if he's close enough.
He's definitely is spreading out just a little bit there. Guzman is tucking himself back underneath Zeno, has gained back a few of those tenths. So we'll keep an eye there. The battle between Bonga and Urban also seems to be tightening up. Just going to give Merck a few more turns here to see what he can do. Oh, actually, his exit out of 8 is going to cost him big time. We'll be falling back. Let's jump over to Bonga versus Urban. And we're going to keep an eye on Guzman Z-Milk once it gets into the 2-3 tenths.
Little Ferrari on Mercedes action here. This should be good. And Owa picking up a couple of warnings for track limits. So keep an eye on that. That's the last thing you want in a sprint race is a time penalty heading into the Grand Prix. So
very, very little field spread means penalties are going to be extra costly.
Yep.
It keeps getting close here, and he's got to watch out because DRL sniffing around behind him in the Haas. He's got on the inside, is going to send here. No, doesn't, but definitely took a peek.
Yeah, and he's made up quite a bit of ground with that DRS too, so he's going to be even closer as they come out of turn 5.
Just needs a go exit here, just to this sub saying that. Bong it trying to get the hammer down, loses the back end and into the wall, losing a lot of places there.
A little bit of a curse, I think.
I don't think so.
Jump back to Feeney now. He's in 10th, last points, not in the points yet actually for the sprint race. I always get that backwards. It's top 8 for the sprint. Yeah, so he's fighting his way up on the back of Pontiac right now.
Be a good scuffle here. Some good following from Feeney, and his qualifying time says he's fast. Oh, but 13's exit there. Had to gun it to get the back end around and lost a little bit of time.
Yep, he lost a little bit of time there, but Pontiac going wide, and now Feeney right back on his tail.
Yeah, through 13, Feeney Pontiac definitely a bit wide in the Red Bull. But man, he is just almost no space for you to take advantage of a mistake like that. Here, though, he's got a good exit, does Feeney. DRS on, going to the outside line, crowding him is Pontiac, who's a very fierce defensive fighter. A little bit off the track does Feeney, but Pontiac is still ahead, holding on to that position for the moment.
Whew.
Yeah. So we're getting a little fight here. Urban and Owa mixing it up, and stepping out, though, is Feeney. Does look like he's going to be ahead as we head down to turn 7. The pass is done there. Go back up. Urban, falls away from Owa. Who else is fighting?
Yep, noted a little bit of contact there between Urban and Owa. That's been noted, so probably lost a little bit of time there. We're also getting some track limits for Merck as well. So as these tires are starting to get away from these guys, it's proven that they are keep having a struggle keeping it on the track. So wouldn't rule out a safety car. A deep dive there on the inside is Owa on Urban.
I missed that. I was back there watching Merck and Bongit mix it up as DRL slides his way through ahead of Urban. DRL up 6 places here and doing it, with his elbows out, trying to fight his way through the field.
Yeah, he's unfortunately, I think Urban caught an elbow, and DRL was able just to slide right past in the failed overtake by Owa. So DRL is doing a good job of keeping his nose clean, moving up the field.
So it was. So in the back, we had Merck and Bongit going side by side for a couple of turns there.
We missed that.
Yeah, actually, I had my camera on that, but there was other action going on further up the field. But so I just want to honorable mention from Merck and Bongit. That was a pretty neat set of turns. Merck ultimately finding his way ahead.
Bongit showing some pace. He's now back up behind the Williams again. We'll go back and take a look and see if he's able to challenge here in the last few laps as we close out this sprint.
So lap 7 of 10, Walrus just, unsurprising, commanding victory. He's going to just coast home, it looks like. Z-Milk's 4.7 seconds behind him, and Guzman mixed it up a little bit, but neither one really able to trade places at all. But here in the midfield, we have seen some pretty neat little battles here.
Yeah, no one's playing it safe during this sprint, I wouldn't say.
An unfortunate DNF from Barney does not bring out any safety cars.
Yeah,
but
that's
Alfa
unfortunate.
Romeo has retired. Don't think we're going to get another insane finish. I'd be surprised. Walrus just devastatingly quicker than the rest of the field. We've got a very slow going Ferrari there, I thought. Who was that? Could it be? V-Milk seems to be fine. Bongit seems to be fine. Or maybe it was Sheisty's Alfa Romeo. Yeah, I think I got my reds mixed up. Is there a missing wing there? No?
not sure, but Shashir in that Williams having a little bit of trouble. Merck has now moved past him, and now Bong It challenging as well. And Feeney making his way in front of Pontiac Bandit.
So, man, Red Bull having some struggles here. Yeah, he's got wings issues. There's a missing end plate. Pontiac Bandit with wing damage there. And I don't think he'll be able to get that fixed up. He's just going to have to hold on.
Yeah, he's just going to have to hobble that thing around. But Merck, only 2 seconds behind, is quickly catching.
So, man, good races from DRL and Urban, both up 6 and 4 respectively, both fighting hard to get into the points here in Singapore. And that's going to pay dividends because they're going to get to start way in the back. Man, a bit of a slide from Owa's AlphaTauri as he's coming around the corner. Got a little sideways, but ends up catching it.
We've got just under a lap and a half to go, and Guzman at the front catching Z-Milk with fury.
Okay, well, this may be the closest points battle that we have here on the penultimate lap. McLaren versus Ferrari, let's go.
McLaren v Ferrari.
With Aston Martin 6 seconds ahead.
Oh, man.
In 10 laps. That's a bit unreal. Walrus.
So not quite a second a lap, which is what we saw in quali. So the race pace a little bit slower.
Yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't push it for all 10 laps with that kind of a lead either.
Yeah.
Guzman is fighting though. Gets a little bit sideways, but catches it. Doesn't lose too much. This is probably his best chance. Overtake is on. He's following as Z-Milk's trying to break the toe. Does not look like he'll have what he needs to dive into 7.
He's going to get one more opportunity here as they exit 9.
Z-Milk defending well. We got 2 Titans of CCRL putting on a battle we've seen many times. They both look very dialed in as we come around 13. Z-Milk with a very good exit. It's going to gain a couple of tenths down to turn 13. Z-Milk or Guzman just really hunting for a mistake.
And when you're talking about the top, the top of the top tier here in the league, you could be waiting a while for a mistake.
Yeah. So Walrus is across the line, officially takes first place here in the sprint. Z-Milk is followed by Guzman. That finishes out the podium. Then about a little bit ways back is Reimer's Mercedes, 9.6 seconds. Even though he qualifies first, race pace for Mercedes a bit down. DRL across the line in 5th. Urban going to take 6th place, followed quickly by Owa, who was within half a second. Feeney, a disappointing sprint given where he qualified, will take the last of the points. Feeney, he had to fight his way to get back into the points there. So,
yeah, he did.
Nice job there. Even though that early spin cost him big time, it'll probably be a fun race for him to rewatch personally. Going to be a lot of good passes there in the backfield.
Yep. Yeah, I wish we could have caught a little bit more of that action back there with Feeney, but we had some great battles in the midfield, and we'll just have to wait and see what the race provides if we get any kind of tire offset in strategy here.
Yeah. Strategy definitely going to play a role, and you have to think safety cars are going to interrupt the evening, right?
Absolutely.
It's just There's going to be at least 2. I'm calling it now. 2 safety
They
cars.
kept it fairly clean through the sprint.
So we're hoping for a 5-star safety car, something to put something that punishes Walrus's Aston Martin, right? So he's not driving by himself all night, and we can see him, have to fight his way back through the field because man, it's too fast. Aston Martin, it's quick.
Yeah, he's absolutely too quick.
Yeah.
I think as he's taken that bridge over the Singapore River, we just have to attach an anchor on from a boat and just slow him down just a tad. I mean, we're gonna have to get creative tonight.
Yeah, look, if you qualify a second faster than everybody else, you only get 3 wheels. That's just to make it fair again.
So the penalty from qualifying is going to be should be applied to the Grand Prix. So we may still see Walrus have to make those positions up.
Okay, good. Because man, that'd be better. I know the commentators aren't supposed to say that, but the truth is, I just want the most interesting race to watch.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
Yeah, if you have a second on the field, then I want you to have 3 wheels or a 5-place grid penalty. Either one, I'll take either one.
Yeah, if we learned anything from 2021 is it doesn't have to be fair. It's just got to be entertainment worthy.
Poor Hamilton. It really was unfair. I'm not even a Hamilton fan. It's just,
yeah,
man, what an exciting season. What an exciting season that was. Yeah, I want to know what Walrus has done. I think maybe sacrifice like his first child or something to the devil, or because this rocket ship towards the front, man, it's just so. He's found so much pace lately.
Yeah, when I was looking at the time trial times earlier, he was only 4/10 off of Limitless for here in Singapore. If that puts it in perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does. This is one of the most difficult tracks on the calendar, period. I mean, everybody knows Singapore, Monza. I want to say Canada too, but not as much. Maybe Baku, not as much either. Singapore and Monza, I keep saying Monza. Singapore and Monaco, to my mind, they're just a cut above everything else in terms of difficulty.
Yep, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, in terms of race-ending mistakes, we're on our way to the 50%. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here we go. We are off the line. I'm on board with DRL, watching this down the front. And actually, again into the side. Ouch. Is DRL taking out a Mercedes. Both him and Urban suffering around turn 1. Walrus has made his way into 4th place already. Guzman leads from Z-Milk, from Reimer, from Wallace. Feeney's there in 5th.
So Angry Walrus is going to be excited about that. That's 2 passes he doesn't have to make now.
Yeah, it's good for him. I'm not rooting against Walrus. Let's go, Walrus. I hope you win, but I want to see you work for it. Walrus now has Reimer. I'm on board with the Aston Martin right now. We didn't get to watch him at all as he took the win in the sprint, but we're going to get to highlight him here as he's on the back of Mercedes-Benz. Feeney sniffing around as Walrus gets a little bit hinky coming out of 13.
Yeah, he's on those hards, and they're probably just not up to temperature yet. Our air temperature is 75 degrees here. Track's only at 80 degrees, so it's cooling down as we go.
Rainbow up at the front. Guzman on softs. Did you see that?
Yeah. Guzman on the softs, Z-Milk on the hards, and Reimer on the mediums. So we'll get a full display on how those tires do here.
I think Guzman counting on the early safety car, and I don't blame him at all. And he's also extracting all the value that he needs to be extracting out of those softs here early on lap 2. A 2.8 second lead over the field, and from second and into first place on those softs.
And like we predicted, Reimer is just got a 10-foot wide Mercedes, but Walrus going to send it in here.
A deep send and a little wonky there, and actually gives the place back. And does Feeney finds his way through as well. So I think Walrus, being fair, kind of let Reimer back through, and Feeney just says, "I'll go through as well."
Take advantage of the milk on the floor there and just go right through.
Not crying over spilled milk is Walrus, and some good sportsmanship there. I like good sportsmanship, and I like good handlebar mustaches. Let's go Walrus. Feeney up 5 on the start is having a much better beginning to the 50%er than he did on the sprint.
So Walrus is, this is hampering him right now. He's 7 seconds off the lead now already.
Yeah, so Guzman definitely taking advantage of this 5-place grid penalty and taking real advantage of those softs. He's putting a lot of distance between him and Z-Milk. And I think, this is smart racing from Guzman, because we watched him be able to close down the distance on Z-Milk early in the sprint. Then he backs off because he can't find a way through. Comes back and challenges him near the end, hoping to find a way through. So Guzman, I think, felt like he had pace on Z-Milk, and then choosing the softs to guarantee that he had free air, and it's definitely paying off that decision. Guzman's race pace as Walrus, man, again, gets that back end just shifting out on him a little bit.
Yeah, this will be the first time he's had those hard tires on all night, and so he's probably getting a little bit of wheel spin as those things are coming up to temp.
Okay. I'm sticking with him. This is the battle, the farthest up the points, and I think Reimer, Walrus is throwing this car around all over the place, already ready to get through. Reimer has no plans on making it easy.
No, he doesn't. Yeah, he's going to make it. And not more so than he would for anyone else, right? But just that we know Reimer has a stout defense and typically a low downforce car, lower than the rest of the field. So he's going to be able to stave off any attack, I would feel like, from Walrus for a while.
Yeah, and this, I'm going to harp on it. Is a very good Sam. Just getting the power down out of 5 pays off as he takes the turn into 7. Walrus does find a way through.
Yeah, I'm glad he didn't make me look like an idiot there for saying that Reimer was going to hold him off for a while.
Well, lasting 4 laps and giving Guzman all that space up in front there. Z-Milk is 2. He's got a couple seconds on Feeney, the Walrus now, we expect him to trouble Feeney within the next lap or two. DRL's had a rough start, down 10 for the Haas driver. Urban also had a little bit of a struggle. The Mercedes-Benz is down 6.
That's a little disappointing for DRL. We saw him make so much progress in the sprint, but he's not out of it yet. There's time still yet with pit strategy to come back through.
Yeah. So if he has a race like he did in the sprint, you expect to see him find his way back into the points. Walrus having a little.
Yeah, Feeney's doing what he needs to do here. I think he's probably using battery to catch up and get into DRS with Z-Milk here.
Yeah, that I was going to analyze it from the other point of view. But we're in the same exact place here. I was going to say Walrus struggling to catch up with Feeney. And you're right, Feeney doing something smart here and realizing that if he can get into DRS range, he's just going to have one extra weapon to hold off Walrus.
And he's just flirting with it. I mean, he was right there, but he is just kind of flirting on the outside of DRS. He's got to get in it, or else he's not going to have any real defense having used that battery.
Oh man, that turn just before 13, where you're
kissing the bridge, yeah.
Every time when that wall just comes by you. Walrus now is catching up to Feeney. He's within 0.5. He's been slowly finding a 10th here and a 10th there. It's lap 5. Now Feeney's turn to try to hold off the Walrus.
The charging Walrus.
Yeah.
So he's now 8 seconds. It's been 6 laps, and he's 8 seconds behind the leader now.
Yeah, the field spread is an important mechanic here in Singapore. Though Guzman's tires are probably he's probably coming in sooner rather than later on those softs.
Yeah.
Oh, looks like we're going to get the pass done. Walrus on the outside does get ahead before turn 7. Another pass done. Now faces the Ferrari of Z-Milk ahead.
So those, I think the mediums probably still have maybe a slight advantage over the hards right now, but I would say those softs will see Guzman in the next 3 laps probably.
Yeah, and so Wallace will take over the lead on track if he can find his way through Z-Milk.
And now, I don't know if Guzman, does that put him on a 2-stop strategy?
Man, I don't know. We'll find out when we see when Z-Milk and Walrus decide to pit. They're both on the hards at the moment. So Walrus has got to do something that Guzman could not figure out how to do, and that's get by Z-Milk on the same compound of tire. And granted, Guzman only had 10 laps to try it, but was unsuccessful.
Yeah,
but man,
same tire compound with DRS, I gotta imagine Walrus is coming through.
Right here, you'd think he'd be able to do it. DRS is open. Z-Milk is, definitely forcing it a bit wide there as Walrus tried to grab the inside line, and Z-Milk just kind of ushered him over towards the wall. Z-Milk with the stout defense now, lap 7.
Yeah, as long as it stays clean, it's good.
Yeah, no, he's drifting the car over as Walrus and Z-Milk both had the right to try for the inside line. Walrus did not have his nose in. Z-Milk didn't jerk over. He was definitely drifting that way. So it looked fair to me.
Walrus still having a lot of trouble on those hards. Drifting it out again.
he's able to hold on to it,
Yeah.
but he's there's some drifting going on this Aston Martin, that's for sure. It's pretty driving, but a bit costly against Z-Milk. You cannot make mistakes.
So rain coming, looking like 45 minutes out right now. So if it hits, maybe we're talking last lap or something at best case here.
So here comes the exit down to 7. I don't think Walrus quite got himself as tucked underneath as he was before. Z-Milk covering the inside line, does slide out to kind of shove Walrus off the line a little bit. Very fair driving from Z-Milk. Walrus unable to find his way through that lap.
I saw the caution come out briefly, but we're green flags, so
yeah, no safety car needed at this point. We've got all the race we could hope for. Walrus with so much speed facing Z-Milk at the moment. A great battle ensuing between these two. It has gone on for 3 laps. I'm hoping for another 3.
And even though they're battling, they are still making up time on Guzman. So
those softs, you have to imagine, starting to fall off.
Yeah, I would think so. We're getting close to a pit stop for Guzman.
So we're heading back around to where it's going to be dangerous. Z-Milk knows it as well. You've got to be able to spread the distance out. But it's through 1, 2, and 3 that it seems like Walrus is very, very good. Exiting is 0.4, within 0.4, now 0.3 as we come around, and now this looks like a very good exit for Z-Milk. Again, I think Walrus will follow into 7. Z-Milk placing that Ferrari everywhere he needs to be to hold off.
Yeah, he's doing a great job of just taking that middle line through the corner, so Walrus has no way to get through.
The concentration you need to drive half in your mirrors around Singapore, man. Because you can defend here, but you've got to be in your mirrors.
Yep.
And you have to drive Singapore at a high rate of speed. A rough exit around 13. Walrus still... An interesting statistic out of Monza. Walrus's pure race pace destroys everybody, even Guzman, who's the closest.
Yep.
But consistency-wise...
Yeah, his consistency rating was somewhere mid-par.
Yeah, it was a bit like 5 or 6, right? And so it kind of like the battle we're enjoying right now is exactly that. He keeps surging forward, right?
Guzman in the pit here.
Okay. So on to hards?
Mediums.
Yeah, so 2-stopper for Guzman.
Yep. And he should be out in front of...
it's a spin from Walrus around turn 5. Man, just trying to get the power down to get the pass ton on Z-Milk, and that was the point we were just trying to make there, is like, in this battle, it's the Aston Martin's back end kind of slipping here, drifting there just a little bit, and Z-Milk's consistency holds on long enough to force a mistake out of Walrus, and now he's got lots of work to do to make it back up the field. It's going to be an exciting race. Let's go find Pontiac Bandit on the back of Urban. We'll watch a little bit of other races, but then we're going to go back and give Walrus some more due as he fights his way back up the field.
So Pontiac Bandit here just inside the top 10 as Guzman pits, and Guzman making up a lot of time. You see him just there enter the picture behind Pontiac Bandit. So we'll keep an eye here as things might get a little spicy as the three of these two kind of accordion up together.
Yeah, it seems like a good place to watch at the moment. Pontiac Bandit versus Urban feels like a pretty fair fight the way Urban season has been going, and they've got a monster behind them on fresh tires.
Yeah,
Walrus is
Guzman's
Walrus
looking
already.
good.
Yeah, Guzman. I mean, whenever I look at the driver standings and I see the 0 wins next to Guzman's name, it does not seem right.
Yeah, every week you got to think this is the week, you know?
Yeah. I know, you know, he's thinking that, right? This finally, I'm gonna get a win.
Yeah.
Pontiac Bandit now very tight on the back of this Mercedes and inside DRS ranges. Guzman as well. We're gonna get some fireworks here in just a moment. Walrus now on the back of OWAS is still gonna be fighting his way up the field for a little bit.
Oh, Bandit, just you can tell he's really starting to struggle on those medium tires. Guzman all over the back of that Red Bull, and he's going to take a wide line and get a great exit here and maybe try something down the run into 14. No, thinks better of it.
Oh, but he's got the better exit out of 14. Got a wheel alongside. This is a dangerous moment, but Pontiac Bandit slips back. I saw it too when the McLaren went so wide. You're like, oh, he's thinking for sure he'll be alongside at 14.
Yes.
Guzman now stands up. Go ahead.
Oh, nope, go ahead. I was just going to say sometimes when you V off those exits to the corner, you enter at a very steep angle and then you get the car turned around so you can get the traction down. It really helps.
Really did help, but Pontiac had a little DRS protection, I think, holding on, but the exit out of 14, not good enough. Just up ahead, it's Bong It. Oh, man, just fighting with... Now, hang on a sec. Bong It was alongside Walrus, who's falling back away from Owa. So Walrus, I think another little mistake put him in the clutches of the Ferrari. And now we'll have to work his way back up to Owa. And again, the difficulty of getting passes done here in Singapore, rearing its head. So that penalty, Walrus still suffering the effects. Meanwhile, just behind this, it's Guzman catching up to this four-way battle here that includes Walrus.
Yeah, that's going to be demoralizing for Walrus as he sees Guzman start to enter his mirrors, knowing he's already made a pit stop.
Yeah. Yes. Hugely demoralizing. I think it's settled down and get good exits out of 5 time and just getting consistent. Actually, into the pits goes Walrus. He's done with these hards already, lap 13.
And as he enters, Guzman's going to overtake the Ferrari of Bong It into turn 1. He's got his sights set on Owa just ahead.
Yeah, the hards are coming off. The mediums are going on. There was no... I stayed on with him to see if there was going to be a wing change. And there was not. He was just unsatisfied with the way those hards feel and has switched, I think, to a 2-stop strategy.
So 13 laps on the hard. You got to think the mediums should go 15, 16 maybe. He's going to have to throw some softs on at the end or really stretch those mediums farther than they probably want to go.
Yeah, you got to think he's in. There has been no safety car. We've got one DNF. Sheisty's Alfa Romeo is no longer with us. No safety cars thus far. I think I don't want a safety car at this point. Walrus now has a mountain to climb, and meanwhile, up at the front, it's Zeno and Guzman. Who seem to be in really good position, and don't count Feeney out, though he's got a bit of an anchor around his neck at this point with carrying around a time penalty.
So I'm trying to do the math in my head here, Drez. It's looking like a 25-second pit lane loss, and Guzman only 11 seconds behind Z-Milk. So
So it's tough to say right now because Guzman's on that 2-stop strategy, and we think Z-Milk is going to be 1-stopping, right?
I would imagine so.
So really, the question's unanswerable until we understand their pace differential on this stint for Guzman's middle stint.
Yeah, so Guzman's fastest time on a medium, a 1:32.9. We really need to know what the pace is going to be on that soft, because I think he's going to need about 1.5 seconds on Z-Milk per lap on that soft tire versus the medium. So we'll wait and see. It's brewing something nice tonight here in Singapore.
Yeah, I think the finish is gonna look pretty. I don't know, it could be pretty good right now between Z-Milk and Guzman.
We got on board with Reimer here. He's going to make the pass down into 10, just forcing his way past the Red Bull curveball there.
Reimer getting it done here as well, though he seems to be out of position. I need to get the tires up now. Now we're in the part of the race where, you've got to be thinking math. So Reimer is out on hards. These go to the end, so he's done with pit stops as well. Z-Milk has yet to pit. So Reimer may be in this mix as well. Feeney is into the pits now. Urban is heading into the pits. 13 laps on the mediums is all he wants to do.
Yeah, and Z-Milk losing a lot of time on those hards right now. Guzman now just over 7 seconds back.
So can you give the last 2 laps of pace, or last 2 lap times from Z-Milk and Guzman?
I can give last lap. I don't have 2 laps to go, but last lap Z-Milk was 1:36.9 and Guzman a 1:34, so almost 3 seconds difference.
Ooh, that's humongous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and Z-Milk is clear air that whole time, so it's got to be time to switch over to the mediums. I'm on board with Reimer as he's going against Komakopa into turn 10. Takes the inside line. Komakopa lets him through. Not but very dangerous passing position.
Yeah, Oh, here we go. This is brewing good. I'm on board with Walrus as he's trying to get past both Alpines on his way into 14.
Does sneak by Komakopa, but Feeney is still free and clear. And meanwhile, up at the front, Z-Milk has pit, so probably taking that information into account. 3 seconds of lost pace there. Man, I feel like Walrus just sideswiped a wall coming out of the final chicane in that new wall of champions you were just mentioning. So just driving the wheels off this thing, and man, just a swath of penalties coming in here on lap 16. Merck, Z-Milk, Feeney, Walrus, Barney, all having penalties. We've got to take a look at these.
And that's huge for Z-Milk, knowing that he's going to have to be fighting off a charging Guzman at the end of this race.
Yeah, that Guzman, very happy to see that 5-second anchor around the Ferrari's neck. Feeney carrying around 8 seconds, very naughty.
Very naughty.
Very naughty. So I'm on board with Walrus and Feeney as they're fighting out of turn 13. DRS is open for the Aston Martin, who's got a great helmet on, takes a peek, decides to go ahead and follow through 14.
Oh, We've got a DRL on the front straightaway.
A DNF from
DNF?
DRL. Yeah, DRL has DNF'd. This is a strange place to lose the Haas there.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Is he in the pits, or is that a Haas coming out of the pits that we're looking at?
I think that could be a Haas coming out of the pits.
Okay.
Barney? No. There's only one.
There's
Only one Haas tonight, so.
Okay, the computer must be retiring it, even though they drove it out of the pits to retire it, which is a little.
That's
weird.
a Haas move, for sure.
Okay.
They probably forgot. They probably messed up that right rear again. loose wheel nut.
Yeah. We need you to retire the car. Why? Well,
Yeah.
because you don't want to know. Just retire.
You don't want to know. Yeah, it probably happened to the other Haas. That's why there's only one to begin with.
So this battle between Feeney and Walrus has gone on for quite a long time. Alpine has gotten wide. Lap 17. Walrus, he's frustrated. He wants to find a way through here.
Yeah.
Guzman's just taking advantage of everybody's mistakes behind him.
It's so frustrating when you've put in the practice all week. You've got the pace, and you're just stuck behind a car that, in reality, you think you should be able to get in front of, but for whatever reason, there you are.
Look, and angry is it's good to drive that way sometimes, but sometimes you've got to be a Zen walrus.
Yeah, you do.
because frustration changes. Oh man, again with the number of times Walrus has saved this car from going into a wall is I think it's kind of interesting in and of itself.
Yeah, it looks like a handful to drive tonight.
Yeah, for sure. But Walrus is making it happening, but struggling to find his way past Feeney, and has been forced to drive Feeney's pace now for about 5-6 laps. Feeney doing the again, Walrus just trying to. Okay, it's either it might be my screen, because this, like, I keep seeing the car hitch.
Yeah. So the way I've if I can verify these little twitches or not is by watching the interval, right? So sometimes you see it and the interval doesn't change, and then sometimes you see it and then he loses 0.3. And those are the ones I think we keep an eye on. Yeah, they're real.
Yeah, all right.
There's been a few of those.
I'm stop reacting to him because he's not falling back far enough. This looks like the exit he wants. The problem is that Feeney has got DRS protection from Reimer ahead of him. Both of these guys very consistent. Yeah, I think you're right about verifying these hitches because it doesn't look like he's falling back the way the hitches would make you think he is.
And do you think Reimer is true pace right now, or do you think he's trying to keep Feeney just within that 1 second as a buffer?
I'd say true pace, because Feeney's qualified right in there around Reimer, and we saw in the sprint as well that Reimer's race pace, even though his qualifying was in there with Z-Milk and Guzman, his race pace was slipping back the full 10.
Yep.
So I'm betting this is Reimer 100%, Feeney 100%. They just happen to be in this very strong fortress that's holding back Walrus from really executing his game.
I think that's pretty good analysis. So speaking of analysis, 17-second interval right now between Guzman and Z-Milk. Last laps, Guzman a 1:35.1, Z-Milk a 1:33.6. So now the shoe on the other foot as Z-Milk begins to chase Guzman down.
I was gonna say right before you read that out, it needs to be big in Z Milk's favor, or this race is already won by Guzman. And we may finally see the McLaren victory that I thought for sure I was gonna get basically this whole season. when Guzman made the switch to McLaren, I was like, let's go McLaren. And then proceeded. Oh, there goes Walrus. Like, oh no, Feeney Walrus come together. Looks like a round turn. What turn is that? It turns 7, and still sliding around 5.
Yeah, I wonder if he's picked up some damage.
It was a late stand, but definitely a fair one. The Aston Martin was clearly alongside there, and I have to go back to look to see if there was space left. But another unfortunate incident. Walrus is now a good distance behind Feeney. Unfortunate there. That fight was fantastic for a long time.
All right, Dresden, I'm moving back up to Guzman for the time being. I've got to jump away for just a second, but I'll be right back.
So Feeney is still chasing down Reimer. Guzman's looking very solid at the moment. Barney fighting with Comacopa there in over 12th place. Who else can we follow here? Man, Walrus 5.8 seconds back. That spin really hurting his race. Z-Milk 15 seconds behind Guzman.
All right, I'm back.
So, can we get the Z-Milk Guzman lap times for the last lap?
Last lap, it's shortening up a little bit. Guzman a 135.2, Z-Milk a 134.2.
Oh, so only a second of pace. Guzman on. I need the tires now. Let's take a look. Guzman on 12 lap old mediums. Z-Milk on 5 lap old. So look, Reimer's inside Guzman's pit window.
He is. Yep.
On tires that go to the end.
But Guzman's going to be on a soft, we think. That shouldn't be an issue.
Shouldn't.
But Feeney's right there too. That's the actual. That's the interesting part.
And it was 14 and 7. So yeah, if Guzman doesn't come out ahead of Feeney, and we just saw Feeney's defense against Walrus, right? So Walrus on softer compound. Oh no, Guzman, man, coming through turn 2 has had some problems and takes a nose. Guzman's race that we were just talking about, whether or not he's going to win or not, has had a spin, and there goes Z-Milk.
And damage to the front wing, too.
Yeah, huge damage. So that pit will happen now. The unfortunate thing is he's lost all 14 seconds of time that he had built up, and will now exit, 7th or 8th. 7th or 8th, I think.
Yeah, and really Z-Milk just going to run away with this thing now.
So Z-Milk on tires that go to the end. Reimer's 6 seconds behind on tires that go to the end. And Walrus also behind. Let's take a look at those penalties one more time. Yeah, Walrus 3 seconds, Z-Milk 5 seconds, Feeney 8 seconds. Reimer
Reimer could still get in the window, couldn't he? Oh
Reimer-
man.
you don't even need a pass on track. What did I say? What did I say last week? I said I'm back now, and suddenly Reimer's going to start winning everything again, right?
Yeah, well, let's not count our chickens here because he's having trouble keeping up with Z Milk currently. He's on 10-lap old hard, Z Milk on 7-lap old mediums. Last laps. So last lap for Z Milk a 134.9, Reimer a 135.1. So they're right in that crossover window, I'd say.
If so Z Milk. Wait, I gotta look at tires one more time. This one's a complicated one to really work out well. Reimer has a clean nose. He's on hards. As we go towards the end, the mediums will fade. They went 13 laps at the beginning. They should go 15 to 16. So you think if Z-Milk, what we need to do then is we need to watch the interval between Reimer and Z-Milk. If it starts to collapse, Z-Milk's in big trouble.
That
actually,
medium, I don't know how long that's going to last.
Yeah, that's the calculation I was trying to make, because they went 13 at the beginning, right? They went 13 laps at the beginning on full tanks. So I was thinking 15, 16 is how long they go. But then we don't know. Zemo could be driving the wheels off that thing, trying to stay ahead of Reimer here. And by the way, Reimer has another problem because Feeney is all over him. And I'm on board with Feeney.
Yeah.
Act 3. So the Feeney-Reimer battle with Walrus behind on mediums that are starting to get old. Man, if Walrus has to pit again, that's game over for Aston Martin right there.
And with Z-Milk leading with the current championship standings, Z-Milk stands to gain quite a bit of ground on Walrus. He's currently 26 points behind, so...
Yeah, I can hear Walrus's race engineer right now, and he's saying it's damage control, slow down and hold on to the points you have.
Yeah,
right? Because if you wear those tires out and have to pit, right, it's over.
Yeah.
It's done. Yeah, it's damage control, it's damage limitation at this point. Gotta be. You can't have any more big mistakes. Meanwhile, this battle between Feeney and Reimer is fairly interesting. They're both on evenly matched tires. Here, lap 25. The only difference between them is that Feeney's carrying around a time penalty.
Yeah, and man, I'd almost, if I was Reimer, just let him through and just catch that DRS and get myself out of the way of Walrus.
Yeah, battle. Yeah. Oh, that's costly mistake. Feeney into the back of Reimer. The Stewarts, I think, will be a little upset about that, as will Reimer. Oh, that's tough. Let's Walrus through as well, so he'll say thank you for that, and Zemo will be upset about that. A pretty big incident there in terms of how it shapes the story of this race. Let's head back. Guzman on Bong, Guzman on softs. You think he'll be able to get a quick pass here, and there's the Mercedes of Urban also battling. Little three-way fight over 7th place.
Man.
That's tough.
We've had a couple different storylines here that we could have seen play out, and both foiled.
Foils, Feeney. That it's tough, right? Because man, in order to get a pass done, you have to follow just so close through really complex turns, and it's just you do that lap after lap. You're not going to escape incident. It's not possible. Happens to everybody.
Happens to the best of us.
You know, Guzman finds his way through on Bong. At no surprise there. He is setting fastest laps at the moment. Z-Milk's penalty. So again, got to take a look at these penalties one more time. 5 seconds, 8 seconds, 6 seconds for Walrus. That's actually kind of big as well. Currently, Walrus is in second place. So damage limitation is done. Only thing that needs to happen is Walrus goes another 5 laps on these mediums.
Yeah, I'm wondering what kind of pace Guzman's going to be able to extract on the softs.
I mean, they've got. I just saw fastest lap flash. I thought it was in the 133s.
134.6.
134.6. Okay.
But that's only, a second and a half maybe behind the leaders. He's going to need a little bit more than that.
Yeah. Yeah, that spin just. He's just upset with this season. Like,
here we go. Now that lap he's done a 132.6. So now he's 3 seconds a lap faster than the leaders.
With
4 laps to go, 12 seconds.
That puts him fighting with Walrus maybe on the last lap, but it's that they have to hold out for all of those laps that pace. Walrus is catching up to the back of Feeney, so we'll probably get round 2 of Walrus versus Feeney. I'm on board with Merck as he's chasing down Reimer. And,
but we got to remember these penalties too. Those could come into play as well.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, Z-Milk has the least amount of penalties in the top 3 right now. 5, 8, and 6. And currently, like I said, Walrus is already in second place.
Yeah, net second right now. So damage limitation working so far.
So I'm hopping up to third place to see if Walrus actually planning on fighting. I wouldn't think he would. I think you just coast behind Feeney at this point, right?
That would be what I would do.
Yeah, because you're not going to catch Z-Milk. You have to pass him and put a second on him in 3 laps. And that's just not going to happen.
It's a tall order.
Yeah, it's just I mean, I don't think Verstappen himself could overcome this obstacle. But has managed. I mean, given that he had to get off those hards as early as he did, he's done well to come back here.
So Guzman now is inside Feeney's window. So he's inside that penalty window. He's got a few more laps to try and make it within Walrus's. And Reimer's still carrying no penalty as well. So
Reimer's ahead of
Reimer's ahead of Walrus. Net.
Yeah, I forget about that. And Guzman also, if he keeps this up, he'll be on the podium as well.
Yeah, we'll see a huge shakeup when these guys cross the line. So just be ready for that.
Yeah. So Z-Milk, it's a consistency thing for the Ferrari. Once again, when we saw him and Walrus battling, it's Walrus with the greater pace, but Z-Milk able to hold him off for 1 lap, 2 lap, 3 lap, 4 laps, and then there's a fateful spin for Walrus that takes this race in a completely different direction. And I think the underpinning part of that whole story is Z-Milk's consistency. And the only reason we're not talking about Guzman's first win right now is, again, a consistency thing, a completely unforced error around turn 1, 2, and 3. And the McLaren now struggling to get back on the podium.
Yeah, we'll see if he's pulled up behind the Williams of Merck. We'll see if he's able to find a way past. I don't know.
I think the pass of the night goes to Reimer for that really ballsy turn 10, stick a wheel in and pray the other guy's paying attention moment.
He did one
And
the
there
lap
goes-
before, same spot too.
Yeah, there goes Guzman, a beautiful exit out of 13, and takes the place over there on track from Merck. So now
the two Mercedes
Guzman
power plants going to battle it out here.
So Guzman really wants to get this pass done, because that is 4 points, and they're both in. This is for second place right now.
Yeah, for a lot of points.
The battle between Guzman and Reimer here is for second.
I gotta think he's gonna get it done here on the straight down into turn 7.
An interesting and a very technical, with mistakes, with spins being, I think, the stories of the evening. Reimer, oh, there it goes, the softs. And by the way, it is sprinkling here, lap 30.
I wondered if the rain was gonna come or not, and here it is.
Yeah, I'm seeing a little spitting rain there. Will it be enough to affect this race? I don't think it's affecting anything just yet, but I think if you're Guzman and you're seeing that sprinkle on your visor, you might be worrying just a little bit.
Well, he's on the freshest, softest compound, so he'll be the one sweating the least. I would say some of these guys on old hards are going to be very nervous.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, Guzman getting a little out of sorts coming out of 14 there.
Yeah, that was definitely rain affecting that turn a little bit. A lot of pressure. It is the final lap. Zemil currently leads. He will take a victory by virtue of a 9-second gap between him and Feeney. Penalties now control the rest of the race, and putting Guzman and Reimer on the podium. Feeney and Walrus are in damage control, with Walrus holding on to 4th and Feeney in 8th. Can Zemil hold on here in the final lap?
I think he can. I don't see anyone who's really going to be a threat. Guzman's way outside his penalty window.
I feel like that 9.1 second gap between Zemil and Feeney has been like 9.1 for 3 laps straight.
Mm-hmm. And what was Guzman's gap to Zemil before he had his accident? It was like 16 seconds, wasn't it?
14 something, 14 and change.
And right now he's 13.3 behind Zemil. So we would have seen fireworks.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? We keep talking about the race we want. We keep jinxing it a little bit. I will say this: it's been Singapore with no safety cars and even a little bit of rain here at the end, and an interesting race. It's been a night of spins as Zemil crosses the line for victory for Ferrari. Now Feeney and Walrus cross the line momentarily on the podium, but there goes Guzman. He'll take second place. Reimer to the line now will jump up.
No, he missed the position of Feeney by 2 100ths.
Reimer will settle for 5th, and Walrus does do damage control following Feeney home. Managed to hold on to a podium there for Aston Martin, but must be disappointed. A 5 place grid penalty put him in a precarious position and then making his way through the field. He found his way all the way to second place, just behind Z-Milk, but Z-Milk's consistency, proving the better part of that fight. Z-Milk with another victory this evening.
Yep.
Good
and,
race.
That's we'll wait to see here. I'll try and do some quick math, so bear with me once we see the actual final results here. And keep in mind these will be unofficial until the stewards receive any inquiries throughout the week. But I think that it's going to put Z-Milk, way closer to Angry Walrus than he's going to feel comfortable with.
Yeah, good.
And next week for Monaco, we're going to have, I think we're going to have Johnny Damon back. So I think Walrus is going to have his hands full next week for sure.
So as long as there's a battle up at the front, I almost honestly, and when I did the same thing to Guzman when he was kind of dominating things, and it was always looking for the place where Goliath was gonna struggle against the mini Davids that are throwing rocks against him, right? And so, Walrus, it's your turn to be the Goliath at the moment. So I'm gonna root for you to have to earn it. But man, very good damage control from Aston Martin. The spins and a grid place penalty, two really big lead weights that he still dragged with him and managed to pull out a podium. So pretty good work there from the mustachioed Walrus.
Yep. So there we have our weekend results. Z-Milk coming out on top with 32 points between the sprint and the Grand Prix. Walrus coming out with 23. So Z-Milk making up 9 points on the championship leader. So that should put him within about 18 points. So less than a race win between the top two guys. Reimer getting a solid result as well. Guzman going to get some points as well and move up in front of Johnny Damon for fourth place in the championship before we head to Monaco. So
yeah, and Monaco next week.
Yeah, yep.
So and that I will make it for that. I'm gonna have to. I probably the way things have been going, I'll probably have to run all day long just to get back here by 10 o'clock.
Well, we'll do you a favor. We'll figure out who Angry Walrus talked to, and we'll get you the business card throughout the week, so that way you don't have to sell your soul to the devil.
It's been another good one from CCRL. That was an entertaining race. Congrats, Z-Milk, and it was fun. A lot of fun battles to watch there.
Yep, absolutely. We appreciate everybody coming to watch and chatting with us. Next week, same time, same place. We'll be in Monaco. And actually, I think I may have said that wrong. I may have misspoke. I think we're early next week in Monaco because it should be a full quali before the race. So that'll be fun. Dresden and I will be here. So please come join us. Subscribe, and keep on watching. On behalf of Dresden and CCRL, I've been trackside tonight. Keep living life to the checkered flag, folks. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody. Yeah, pretty decent. Singapore, go ahead. Yeah. Well, you couldn't hear him on the video at all. Yeah, I mean, I can fill air, no issues. Yeah, well, I can hear my cat screaming half the damn time. So, I'm